Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating, comprehensive snapshot of the global economy as of July 2026. And look, the main takeaway right off the bat, artificial intelligence is no longer just some shiny buzzword we're all playing around with. It is fundamentally reshaping both our physical and our digital worlds in some really profound ways. The experimentation phase? Yeah, that's officially over. The real building has begun.
Actually, the defining trend of this entire era really comes down to one core idea. It's all about sustained investment in the physical and digital infrastructure that will support the next decade of economic growth. Everything we're about to cover today stems from this massive, long-term economic pivot. We are officially moving past software that just entertains us, right? We're moving towards systems that literally run the world.
All right, let's jump into Section 1, the new economic reality, moving past the hype. So there's a really stark contrast happening in the business world right now. Short-term speculation is absolutely out. The days of just throwing money at any startup that slapped AI into its name, those days are over. Instead, what we're seeing is that financial markets are exclusively rewarding disciplined execution and real productivity. Capital just isn't cheap anymore, and that means organizations have to emphasize operational maturity. Profitability and measurable business outcomes are dictating every single dollar spent right now. It's essentially a return to the basics, to the fundamentals, just supercharged by this new technology.
Moving on to Section 2, AI as standard infrastructure, the foundational plumbing. You know, AI has effectively become standard enterprise plumbing. Think about medicine, for example. Diagnostics and drug discovery are moving at just unprecedented speeds. They're turning years of painstaking research into mere months. Or take software engineering. Coding assistants are completely reshaping how developers work, effectively turning one single engineer into a highly efficient team of 3. And over in the creative arts, music production is seamlessly blending human creativity with these powerful generative tools. What we're witnessing is a simultaneous multi-industry upgrade, and it's happening faster than literally any technological shift in history. Now, integrating this new standard, it requires writing some massive checks, but the goals for all that capital are extremely clear. First and foremost, organizations are demanding absolute reliability and heightened cybersecurity. Why? Because you simply cannot have your core infrastructure crashing. No way. They also want very measurable outcomes, and they're rapidly expanding cloud capacity alongside something called edge computing. If you aren't familiar, think of edge computing like processing data right exactly where it's being used, say inside a self-driving car or maybe a factory robot, rather than sending all that data all the way back to a distant server. It makes these intense new workflows lightning fast.
That brings us to Section 3, powering the digital economy, the physical requirements. Here's the thing, you cannot build massive digital infrastructure without massively upgrading the physical world. It's a direct ripple effect, like a giant domino chain. Step 1, enterprise AI deployments accelerate across all those different sectors we just talked about. Well, Step 2, that triggers a historic boom in data center and semiconductor construction just to handle all that insane processing power. And then Step 3, those facilities require so much electricity that it forces this immediate, urgent modernization and expansion of our physical energy grids and transmission lines. As it turns out, the invisible cloud has some very heavy real-world anchors. And the energy requirements for this shift are simply staggering. To put that into perspective for you, a single AI query can use nearly 10 times the electricity of a standard web search. 10 times! When you multiply that by billions of global queries every day, the drain on the grid is just monumental. So, to meet this massive demand, utilities are actively preparing. They're making renewed, long-term capital investments in nuclear energy, advanced battery storage, and renewables. The physical world is quite literally being rebuilt from the ground up, just to keep the digital one running. Let's pivot to Section 4, the modern workforce, adapting to the new normal. So how does a macroeconomic shift of this scale actually affect us? Well, it translates directly to everyday careers. Employers right now are focused strictly on measurable productivity. Because of this, skills-based hiring is really expanding, and AI fluency is becoming as fundamental as knowing how to use a spreadsheet or send an email. And while hybrid work patterns seem to be remaining pretty stable across the board, the real big takeaway for any professional today is this. Continuous learning is now the ultimate non-negotiable competitive advantage. Truly, if you aren't adapting, you're falling behind. But against this backdrop of just rapid, dizzying technological transformation, the rhythms of everyday life march on with incredible resilience. We've got World Cup football drawing massive worldwide audiences right now. Summer travel is accelerating, and NASA is pushing our physical boundaries out in space with its Artemis preparations, and this is all happening amidst persistent summer heat and scattered storms. It's a really important reminder that human innovation is complementing our established physical traditions. It's not erasing them. The world keeps turning. It's just getting a little bit smarter.
Finally, Section 5, the decade ahead, building for tomorrow.
The overwhelming theme across all these developments is this massive pivot toward long-term planning and real economic resilience. So, I want to leave you with a question to consider. With AI now officially functioning as standard infrastructure, is your organization still focused on mere experimentation, or have you actually shifted to measurable execution? Really think about how you fit into this new reality. We are officially in an era where disciplined execution wins. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll see you next time.